Hi everyone, I'm Layla and I weigh and measure 3 meals a day off the grey sheet. I write them down, I commit them to my sponsor. I don't eat in between my meals, no matter what, and abstinence is the most important thing in my life today. My abstinence date is the 25th of March, 2020. And thank you for inviting me along to be here today. I haven't qualified for a little while. And I really like it when I can come on meetings and be positive and happy and bubbly and joyful. And the truth is, I don't really feel like that today. I'm not sure how I feel, but I don't, feel like I often do, but that's okay. I've weighed and measured 2 delicious meals today. My food on the grey sheet is just, it's incredible. I want to swear and use foul language to describe how amazing it is. But my food is incredible, and I will weigh and measure regardless of how I feel or what I'm thinking. Slow down, okay. So I'm going to try and keep it simple and talk a little bit about what it was like before grey sheet, what I did, and what life is like today. So before grey sheet, probably from around maybe early teens, from the age of 13, I started to have this sense that I was overweight, unattractive, that I needed to diet, that I needed to have a perfect body. And there was actually nothing wrong with me. I was in a healthy body, but I felt huge. And so the dieting, or the trying to diet, started. And to be honest, I could never really diet. I would read all the diet books, I would buy all the diet products, I would binge ferociously, I would clear out all the food in the cupboards, I would go and buy stuff we don't eat and swear that tomorrow would be a new day and I would start a diet. I would keep diaries and books, and I would plan out the next 6 weeks or the next 6 months of my life. And I would write, I'm going to have this many calories, I'm going to do this amount of exercise, etc., etc. And I couldn't even diet for one single day, that's the truth. So I'd clear out my cupboards, I'd eat all my binge food, I'd go to bed feeling like shit, devastated, thinking, please God, let tomorrow be different. And as soon as I opened my eyes, I'd be back in the food, back out binging again. I think any diet product or any shakes I've ever bought, mostly they've got thrown in the bin because I just could not. And I didn't know about the phenomenon of craving. I didn't know about the allergy. I had no idea about all of that stuff. Anyway, to cut a long story short, in my 30s, I become addicted to cocaine. I started using cocaine every single day. And I found my way into 12-step recovery in the rooms of Cocaine Anonymous. And I've been clean and sober now over 4 years, since the 31st of January 2019, which is just an absolute blessing and a miracle. I feel quite emotional even saying that, sometimes I forget how lucky I am. Okay, thank you. So I came into recovery through the 12 steps of Cocaine Anonymous. And it was in that fellowship, well, I got 6 months clean and I couldn't stop eating. So I put down the drugs and I picked up the food. And today I believe that food is my primary addiction. I believe that I was using food, from my early teens. And what I didn't know at the time was my sponsor in Cocaine Anonymous was also just like me, a compulsive eater. Well, she was an anorexic and bulimic. I tried to make myself sick and I was never successful. And I tend to be on the overeating, binging side. But she was in 12-step recovery for food. And she introduced me to another 12-step recovery program for food. And I'm really grateful for that, because through that program, I found grey sheets. However, I didn't get one day of abstinence in that other fellowship. When I come to GreySheet, I've had plenty of day ones. It took me about 6 months to get this sort of time of abstinence. I never ever thought I could get it. Someone said to me, just stick to it for 7 days. And I thought, I've never stuck to Weight Watchers for 1 day. How am I going to stick to this for 7 days? And I did get some instant relief. I did get about 14 days of back-to-back abstinence, and then I'd pick up again. I was really using it as a diet. I didn't know how not to diet, even though I couldn't diet. My thinking was just fucked. It was what went on up here was just a complete mess. And I got myself a sponsor. I started coming to meetings. I think in the beginning, my denial and just my thinking was so messed up that I truly believed I was doing everything that my sponsor suggested, but I wasn't. And I couldn't get abstinent. I'm the type of compulsive eater. I have to be on meetings almost every day. This is my 3rd meeting today, and I'm doing another one in a couple of hours. I have to pick up the phone. I have to work through the steps. And that's what I've done. I've got a sponsor. I started doing meetings. I started doing service as soon as I could. I started working through the steps. None of this stuff, I never really want to come to meetings. I never really want to share. I never really want to do any service. I rarely want to help people. You know, like I am a proper addict, you know, I'm selfish. You know, if someone asks me for help, I get irritated and frustrated. But because I'm in recovery, that's my first fault. My second fault is I probably should help this person. So my thinking is still messy, but I have some clarity today to do, you know, to take action and try and do the next right step. And that often is get on a meeting, call my sponsor, call a newcomer, call an old timer, be 100% honest around my food and the numbers on the scales. I only weigh my body once a month on the 1st of every month. I didn't do that in the beginning. In the beginning, I was on the scales every day. And that took me out the door because I wasn't losing weight at the speed that I wanted to. So I'd think, fuck it, I might as well eat or do it my own way. And every time I come back, I came back heavier and more miserable. Anyway, this time, thank God, for whatever reason, and I was encouraged to pray for the willingness to be willing. You know, and in the beginning, it all sounded like rubbish to me. Pray for the willingness to be willing. I didn't really understand it. But I'd done it anyway. And thank God I do have the willingness today. I have the willingness to buy my abstinent food shopping. I have the willingness, I live by myself, so I only have abstinent food in the house. You know, in the beginning, I used to go shopping and I would buy non-abstinent foods, and my thinking would say, buy it, you're not going to eat it. This is the, you know, the crazy thinking in my head. You know, I'm trying to get clean. It's like buying crack thinking I'm not going to smoke it. But this is what happened. But this time around, I wouldn't do any of that. I would phone a GreySheeter before I'd go into the supermarket, and I would say, I've got my list. I'm committing to just buying what is on my list. I'm not going to go down any of the aisles that I don't need to. And then when I come out the supermarket, I would phone or text them to say I'm out and I'm safe. And I kept my commitment. So they are some of the things I've done: service, calls, bookending, working the steps, prayer and meditation. I mess up every single day. I cannot keep still for long unless I'm sleeping. Thank you. I see you. I appreciate that. But I do try and pray, and I do try and meditate. In fact, I do definitely pray. Sometimes it's very quickly. Usually it's very quickly, but I'm trying to work on my relationship with God. Sometimes I'm probably not doing a very good job of that at the moment. And I want to talk a little bit about what life is like today. So I have struggled in abstinence. You know, my brother passed away. I've struggled with anxiety. I've struggled with probably like maybe a bit of depression even. I'm 41. I'm going through what they call like early menopause. I've been put on HRT. I broke my ankle. Anyway, all this stuff is important, but it's not really important. But I suppose before abstinence, I didn't really struggle with any of this. Before abstinence, I don't remember really struggling with anxiety or OCD, but now, and you know, fear around work. Anyway, all of these things. But despite that, and despite some, you know, real sad losses in my life, and even though I feel a little bit shit and a bit low today, my life is really beautiful and it is really precious to me. And I'm grateful today for the simple pleasures. I'm grateful that I don't wake up and I'm not even thinking about using cocaine or eating sugar or stuff in my face. I'm thinking about my delicious abstinent breakfast. That's the truth. I still think about food an awful lot. I think about what I'm going to buy in the supermarket. I make lists. I think about what I'm going to cook. I've started to really enjoy cooking in the last couple of months. So I love my food. I could probably spend an hour talking to you about how much I love my food. I've also put down the sweetener. I've put down all forms of sweetener for over a year now, a year and 3 months. I don't drink coffee for over 11 months, and I've stopped drinking herbal teas maybe a month ago, just because there's still things on the grey sheet that I cannot use in safe amounts. And sweetener was one of them. Sweetener is just like cocaine and heroin to me. It's the same thing now. But my life is beautiful, my life is rich, and my life is sweet. I've started, different things have become important to me, relationships, people. I don't know how to have relationships, by the way, but, you know, my family, I'm building a relationship with my younger sister. I'm trying to work on a relationship with my mum, who I have a great relationship with, by the way, but she irritates me and triggers me, and it's not her, it's me. So I'm trying to work on my own stuff. So when I'm around her, I'm a nicer, more, just a nicer daughter. You know, I want to be patient and kind around my mum and treasure every minute with her, not always want to jump down her throat. And, you know, I like looking at the sky. I like going to bed and looking out my window at the stars and the moon, and, you know, sleeping with my windows open. And they're the kind of things that I appreciate. And in a way, you know, I sometimes struggle with my relationship with God. Some days it's like I really have this belief, and then other days it's not so great. But, you know, as I speak today, I kind of think, you know, how can there not be a God? Because I sort of feel like, how can there not be? Because, like, what my life today is, I don't even know what I'm trying to say, but, you know, the fact that I'm not using cocaine, I'm not using food, I'm in a healthy sized body. You know, I've lost maybe 60 pounds on the grey sheet, and that's just the small part. That's nothing. That's not even the great blessing. That's just like, but yeah, this grey sheet and 12-step recovery is the best thing that's ever happened to me, without a doubt. It's given me a life, it's saved my life. And in a way, even like giving up the sweetener and giving up the coffee, they're not things that I intended or wanted. But like, I have to drink water now. I'm almost forced to drink it. But before, I would never, ever drink water, ever. And it's like, I long to be able to live this life where I put goodness in my body, water in my body. You know, I've started to exercise a little bit. I've started to swim, do a bit of yoga. You know, and I can't say like I'm an avid exerciser and I love exercising, but I'm trying my best. And this is what the grey sheet allows me to do. It allows me to look after my body, my mind, my spirit, my soul. It allows me to ask for help. There's always someone in this program, all right, thank you, I'm going to finish up, who has experienced whatever it is I'm going through. And I love that. I love for me to be told what to do. I don't really struggle with that. Sometimes I do, actually, but mostly I quite like for someone to say, do this, this and this, and it will work. And that's been my experience. If you do what's suggested, you'll get abstinent, you'll get a life beyond your wildest dreams. Thank you.